Welcome to our next episode of
Fandom
Family
Chats.
This is a production of Family Fan Clubs on Facebook. You can find us all over Facebook. You can find us all over social media under Fandom Family Chats. Look us up, get dialed in, get plugged in, and get ready to listen to some crazy people talk crazy stuff. Hi guys, welcome back to FFC. I'm Maureen.
And I'm Jeanette.
And today we are bringing back an old favorite. We are talking Teen Wolf today. It's been a long time since we talked Teen Wolf, and it'll be the only time you hear about them this season. So we are gunning down our top 10 favorite moments or scenes from Teen Wolf. I was doing kind of both.
I wore my shirt for tonight.
Beacon Hills. I was finding some hoodies that I like.
It has Stalinski on the back, you know. Of course.
Because it's all for Noah Stalinski, by the way.
Oh, of course.
So mine are actually this is another one you guys heard on the Schitt's Creek one. I couldn't put them in order. This is another one where these are just scenes that came to my head. Yeah. They were just scenes that I enjoyed, scenes that they made me feel a strong emotion or attachment to, and that's why they made the list. So I don't have my list, but I think my number one is my number one, but other than that I don't think I have a specific order for mine.
I think mine are in order, but the difference here is that you may say one, I'd be like, oh, you know what, that should have been on my list. I didn't put too much effort into this. Because it's been a while, I just sat down and I started writing, what are the first scenes that pop in my head when I think about Teen Wolf? And once I got to 10, there's my list. And then I put them in order. That was it.
And I think it's worth noting that the reason it's been a while since you watched Teen Wolf is because you've been going through Dylan O'Brien's IMDb catalog.
Seen everything. I mean, I have. I think there's one movie, and it's because I can't find it anywhere. So
anyway, Patty found one bootleg before you.
Yeah, I know. I need to just watch that. So just find it on.
But I love that even on your anniversary, it was a Dylan O'Brien movie.
Watch Not Okay,
which makes sense. All right, so we're gonna start with number 10. Okay, and again, mine are in no particular order, but my number 10 was okay. I'm gonna give 2 for number 10 because I could not decide which one I actually wanted to be on my list. I thought about it and I just I'm an overthinker. Where Jeanette's like, I'm gonna go with my gut. I almost obsess over the lists.
You can't obsess over
should I add, what shouldn't I add? But I can't. I'm a planner, and I don't know. I can't do it off my gut. I gotta intensely study it.
This is why I do it off my gut, because I am an overthinker too, and if I don't, I'm going to get too into it. So I just got to go with it.
So my number 10, I mean, there are a lot of good scenes to pick from. And for me, at first, I was trying to find, because I was coming off the Schitt's Creek one. And so my instinct is to find funny things and things that make me laugh, things that are sarcastic, which is 90% of Stiles and Isaac's characters. Actually, 90% of the show is sarcastic.
Yes.
But then once I started seeing some of the more serious ones, I kind of switched up my thing there and just included all moments that made me feel some sort of emotion. So these were 2 that really, really hit me. And one was Lydia with the psych banshee. What is that lady's name? She had the little fro. Meredith, yes. And she was saying, I actually wrote down the quote, not all monsters do monstrous things. She was trying to teach her about that. And it was just, that moment hit me so hard, but also Isaac taking away pain for the first time from that little dog.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Both of those scenes hit me in the same way. And they were both so good, and they were such powerful moments. And a lot of it had to do with how the actors delivered the lines. But it was smart writing, because when they deliver them is when we are already really invested in those characters and their arcs. So the way they deliver them, it felt that much more impactful and powerful when they set them all out.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that totally. Yeah. And then that's sort of the same as my list. There's probably not, I don't know if there's really any funny scenes.
Oh, I have funny scenes.
But it's mostly it's just I think like I said, it was just when I think of Teen Wolf, what are the 10 scenes that just pop in my head? So for whatever reason, whether they were shocking or emotional or just, whatever they were. So that's sort of how my list went. But my number 10, and that's another, my number 10, it's not necessarily a scene that I like. It's not necessarily a scene that I was like, oh yes, I'm so excited about this. But it was when we find out Kate is alive. And I think it's because it was just, shocking. I did not see that coming at all. And so it was just, because it was I feel like a full 2 seasons or something before she was back. It was a long time.
It was 2 seasons. Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't have any idea that you could die from like a scratch like that. And it was just like, I mean, I think they had discussed it and they said if it went so deep, but like it never crossed my mind
Yeah.
that she was alive. So, and even though Kate was kind of terrible, she's one of my
I'm
favorite
sorry.
villains.
Kind of terrible.
Yeah, she's pretty terrible, but she's still one of my favorite villains because I think she just played that role
She did it
so
well.
and so I always liked Kate as far as a villain goes.
Because
So
she played Two-Face very well. Like, it surprised me when she took Allison out in the woods and she made that abrupt switch.
Yep.
That was like, whoa. And that was something I didn't expect her to do.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing about that scene that you brought up for your number 10 that's surprising is she says the line, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember exactly what it was, but something along the lines of, you think this is surprising.
Yeah.
And then she like turns into that crazy thing that she's got to go. I don't even remember what she was, but she's like 5 different things.
Where Jaguar. And I'm like, I remember thinking, I'm like, what is that? Like, what is she? Like, so that's why it's on my list because I just remember it was probably one of the most shocking moments of the entire show.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's kind of like with Vampire Diaries, where at a certain point you start to expect, okay, this is just weird. So things are just going to happen.
Yeah.
But when they actually take a character like that, kind of makes you think that they might do something like that with Allison for the movie, huh?
Yeah, I am really curious to see
how they're bringing that back.
How they bring her back. I'm really curious. I could get off on this movie tangent for a long time. I won't. But I've
been watching that scene how she dies. I've been trying to like study it. It's like maybe they just like absorbed her into their world. Maybe they like I can't think of a way that they can bring it back that makes sense.
Even when they stab her, this is totally off on a tangent, but it's cool. It's related. It's Teen Wolf.
It is.
I mean, they stab her, so it's not like she died. Like I could agree with what you just said if like they stabbed her and she died instantly. Like she has that time to have that conversation with Scott. Yep. So it's like I have a feeling it's going to have something to do with the Nagitsune.
Because if they did what I said, that's just going to be like a cheap fix.
Yeah, which upsets me altogether. But we won't get into why that all upsets me.
I know.
I won't get off on my.
I think that you listeners could probably suspect why. If you watch Teen Wolf and you understand why that storyline affects her, then you're going to understand why.
I just think, yeah. I mean, if we were going to do that storyline, I'm going to have to say it because now it's in my head. If we were going to do the Nagitsune and the Oni as a storyline, but then you find out that Dylan O'Brien and Arden Cho cannot join you, who were the main focus of that whole storyline, those two characters, then it's time to write a new script.
Yep.
It's time to figure out something else.
Yep.
Because I don't, like, I had gotten over the fact that he wasn't going to be in the movie, but now you bring back his very best storyline.
And his Jeep too. So I mean, it's like it's like, well, he can't be in it, but we're gonna have this year, so that means that we can still play with this line.
Well, I even saw like him in an interview saying that like, oh, my Jeep's in it. They come and borrow it from my driveway. So I'm like, so you're telling me that we drive up to Styles' house and we don't see Styles? Irritated. That's okay. I know he's got stuff going on, so like, Dylan, I'm not mad at Dylan for this at all. Like, it's cool. He's got other things happening, but
we'll see how it turns out.
I would have waited to make a movie until Dylan was available. That's just my thought. Now, there is a scene at the end of somebody pouring the mountain ash. And it looks just like, I mean, we're trying to figure out who the heck is pouring it. And at first, everybody was like, oh, it's going to be Dylan. He's going to pull, an Andrew Garfield, and he's going to be in it, which I don't think is, I would love that, but I don't think that's the case. So I don't know who it is, unless it's Theo. Now that would still be like a shock because he's not supposed to be in it either. Because he can still touch that stuff because he's not, because he's a chimera. So, but it does resemble, and I mean, a werewolf can't touch that stuff. So it can't be any, I don't know. So that's interesting of who that's going to be. I think it's going to be good. I do, but I think it's not going to be as good as it could have been. I agree.
My number 9 is Isaac and Scott watching over Mama McCall.
See, I knew this was going to happen. You were going to name scenes, and I'm like, that belongs on my list too. That's okay. That's okay.
I just love Isaac, where they're instantly awake, and Isaac is the one who's more shocked that he fell asleep. And I love the interaction between Isaac and Scott. First of all, the look up on Melissa's face when she sits up and she just looks at them in this state of expectation and awe and exasperation all in one expression.
Yeah.
And then wakes them up, and the scene is Scott says, you were on watch last, and Isaac says, no, you were on watch last, and then Scott goes, no, you were on watch last. And even the way Isaac like moves his body, because he like sheepishly does this to the back of his neck, like scratches, which is werewolf, like cute, like dog scratching the back of his own neck. And it just that little bit put in there. And he's like, I may have been on watch last.
Isaac is so underrated, I think. He is
absolutely
like the best. I love him so much. And I actually have no scenes of his on my list, but I should have. And I'm sorry.
My first two that I mentioned were him, and I have 3 honorable mentions of him.
Well, I told you that every scene except for the one I just mentioned on my list has Styles in them. So every other one.
All right, what's your number 9?
Okay, so he's not the main focus of this scene, but he is in it. This scene, and it's another one of those that just kind of a shocking moment, but also like for me, it was like yes. And it's where Peter, when they're stuck with the Ghost Riders, and they're trying to get out or whatever, and then you see Peter finally decides to jump on the back of one of the Ghost Riders and ride out, and he gets burnt up and really hurt. And I loved that scene mostly because I was a Peter fan back when I shouldn't have been a Peter fan. And so this was like my redeeming moment of like, look at this. He wants to pretend like he doesn't care about anybody else, but he does. He cares about his daughter, and that's what he's going back like for her. He's like, he's risking this to get there and to tell them. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was just a moment. Now I know it wasn't super heroic. Like other ones have done so many other things that are probably more heroic.
But that doesn't mean this isn't heroic though.
But for Peter, I think it was a huge moment. And I felt validated in my Peter love.
That moment was number 4 on my list. Only what I wrote was Peter helping Malia in the Upside Down.
It's a wrong show.
I confused those for a minute. But okay. I knew what I meant.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called though. All I keep thinking is Upside Down. What is it called?
I'm not sure what that was called. I just know it was the Ghost Riders. And the
because he did a lot to help Malia while he was down there.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
See, I became his fan in the episode with the bank vault. And Styles was freaking out on Derek. And he's like, you're just gonna punch through a wall. And he held his hand out. He's like, here, you're gonna punch through this. And all Derek does is this. And Styles goes flying, and you see Peter in the background laughing really hard. And that was when I became a Peter fan. Wasn't that?
Yeah. Oh, Peter had so many funny scenes. I adore him.
What does he say about the Nazis? Like, and nobody likes a Nazi.
Nobody likes Nazis. Or like the one about his like secret like lair or something. He's like, no, I live in a downtown. Like, he's like,
that was.
I was just like, wait, really?
That was right around in the Big Hole episode too.
Yeah. Oh, Peter.
All right. Well, my number 8. This is another emotional one, but it's also kind of funny because it starts off funny, but it's Styles and his dad in the hospital. When Noah is, I don't remember how he got hurt, but he's in the bed, and Styles is saying things to him. He's like, and Noah's like, "Did you go through my stuff?" Like, yeah, I always go through your stuff, and you want to laugh, but then he keeps going, and he says, "How else am I supposed to take care of you?" And just Noah responding back of, "You're not supposed to be taking care of me. I'm supposed to take care of you." And the emotion that is on Lyndon and Styles that they input into their characters in that moment, it's in their tone, it's in their expression, it's in their body language. In fact, Styles is just standing there like this the whole time. And he looks like he's about to cry, and Noah's in a hospital gown. He looks like he's about to cry.
I always notice like in that scene too, like, and this is actually something I'm pretty sure that's from Dylan, because I've heard that like one of his like nervous habits is he chews on his fingernails. And you'll notice he does that in that scene and a lot of scenes with Styles. When Styles is nervous about something, he'll sit there and chew on his thumbnails. I'm sure it's just Dylan, that's what he really does in real life, but I love that he put that into the character, into there, because it seems realistic.
It gives a depth to it.
Agreed.
What's your number 8?
My number 8 is when Jackson, and we find out that Jackson and Ethan have returned in the final season. And I think I like that because it was the Jackson scene itself is funny, but like just the whole storyline itself surprised me. Like,
are you talking about when we see them in their apartment, or are you talking about when we see them in the warehouse?
Well, sort of. I mean, I think I kind of combined it. I think I kind of just said their return. I know it's more than one scene, I suppose. But just their return in general, because
with Styles when he's like, you and Ethan?
Yeah.
That's
So like
what
that
he's talking
part's
about.
funny. Yes, yes. And because I was shocked when we bust through there and it's Jackson, you're like, wait, what? And then we find out that Ethan's there too. And so I mean it's all just really like I never saw that coming.
Mm-hmm.
I like it when you shock me because a lot of times in shows it's really hard to not see something coming. And I think Teen Wolf did that a few different times. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was another one that you're like,
I
wow, I
agree with
didn't
that.
expect you to come back. I'm not even sure if I knew that I wanted you to come back. But once I had it, I was like, yeah,
I did need this.
I did need this.
And his character, when he came back, was more comfortable in his own skin, so he was way more likable the second time.
Yeah. But not in so much of a way where he wasn't still Jackson, because he was still
Exactly. He
Jackson.
was still Jackson.
But you could
But
tell
you
that he was
wanted to see more of him.
yes, agreed.
All right, so my number 7 is Scott and Styles with a duct tape Liam.
That's a good one. I almost put that on my list, but it just didn't make it. But I love that scene too.
This is why I make the plans, because when you make the plans, people end up duct taping your shower.
I mean,
And Scott was like, "You're gonna be okay," and then Styles goes, "Maybe." And Scott goes, "Stop it!" And Styles changed it to probably. Every time Scott would try to comfort Liam, Styles would come in with way too much truth about what was happening in the moment. And poor Liam looked like he was about to cry.
Yeah. And I relate to that so much because that's what I do with my kids. Like I have the hardest time like actually lying to them. So like if they ask, like we were talking about Shelby's little ear being infected, I really they're probably not going to tell you to take it out. And I'm like, why, Jeanette, can't you just say they're not? Which I'm glad I didn't because they wanted her to. But like I can't do it. So like I relate to that so much that I cannot. I use probably or maybe a lot because I can't bring myself to just flat out lie to them, which terrifies them. And I shouldn't do that, but it's like I can't do it.
I agree. It's like with my kids, I have stopped telling my kids things.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to go back and say something upsetting. Like when they go to the doctors, I don't tell them they're going to the doctors.
Yeah.
Until we pull up at the doctor's office. Be like,
wait a minute, where are we?
Happening today? And that way I don't have to live with them being sad for that long.
Yeah. No, I agree.
They're gonna say, "Do I need a shot?" I don't know. I didn't ask because
there's another moment when I'm like, answer. I'm not sure. I'm like 95% sure you don't.
Well, I would say I don't know. Because I don't. I intentionally don't ever ask, so I don't ever have to say yes, you're getting a shot.
Well, I know for Shelby, I don't ever know for Elena because I've already been through it with Elena, so I can remember that. Okay.
Oh, geez, I don't remember from kid to kid. No way. I can't remember their names.
I only got the 2, so it's easier.
We came up with Maya and Nora because we can never call them by one name and the
right
name.
I love that. I love that.
All right, so what's your number 7?
Okay, so I cheated on this one. Okay.
How'd you cheat?
Well, I couldn't pick just one. So I put all Void style scenes. Because I love all of those, but I just needed and so when I was sitting and thinking, I was like, I gotta put Void Styles on my list because he is my favorite villain of the show. Like he's great. And it's not just because it's Dylan, he's just definitely the best villain on the show. But I couldn't pick just one. So I was like, I'm just gonna put all Void style scenes.
I have 2 from them specifically.
Well, there you go. See?
The one is when he's on the couch, I think in the McCall house. When he's got the duct tape over it, he's crying, and that's such good acting. And then they pull it off, and he's like, "Man, you are so easy," or something like that. Like,
yes,
like that. That was one where I was actually like open mouth, staring at the screen, like just getting closer to the screen, and be like, "What's gonna happen next? What is he going to do next?" And isn't that when he goes in for the MRI because he's starting to go a little crazy and he thinks it's happening? That scene right there when he looks at Scott and he says, "You know what they're looking for, right?"
Yeah.
And then Scott says to him, "Ooh, I'm feeling it a little bit." Scott looks at him and says, "If anything happens, basically, I'll bite you.
I'll bite you.
So you're cured." And then that hug that they have at the end on the MRI machine is just like, oh my gosh, Dylan is good at his job.
So good. Well, another one, and probably it wasn't my favorite. That's why I couldn't just put that scene, but the scene that pops in my head when we think of Void Styles is when he's like chasing, when they've already kind of separated them, and it's like actual Styles and Lydia, and he's like chasing them down like that hallway or whatever it is, and he's like, "You can't kill me, like I'm 1,000 years old," and just the screaming in his voice, like I can hear that because it was just so powerful that I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's funny to see like Styles and then him, and like they're both Dylan, but oh my goodness, they're such different characters right now, and it's just it's amazing.
And that he can pull off both so completely is a testament to
Yes.
how he focuses on his work.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's amazing. He really is. He's going places, in my opinion. He's gonna be one of the best actors. And I'm not saying that because like I got the hots for him.
You're
There's
not
more to
completely
it.
saying it for that reason.
I mean, I have the hots for him because he's such a great actor. Okay. So like the great actor part comes first.
Sure it does.
I appreciate the craft. Okay.
My number 6 is Stalinski and Coach on the bus with Allison and Lydia following.
Another good one.
I mean, first of all, it's when he's like, Scott says, call Allison and Lydia, see if they can meet us here. Oh, they've been following us the whole time.
He knew. Yeah.
But then when she says, convince him to pull over, use reason or logic. Logic, have you met this guy?
Mm-hmm.
But just that whole scene where they're yelling at Coach. So this is just as much to do with Coach as with Styles, where the coach is just constantly blowing the whistle. And you can just, I mean, there's 2 parts about it I love. Is one where he goes, let me talk. And the way he says that, I just laugh out loud every time.
Uh-huh.
But then the other one is when the coach blows the whistle for the final time and tells him to go sit down, and he just screams, and he goes to sit down. But it's not just, it's how he screams it, but it's how he even runs his hand, because he has a way of like, it's not just like a smooth motion. He has a way of showing agitation and even his hands, because it's like this, and like he can't even make his hand like be still.
Yep.
I don't know. I just love how he portrayed it in that scene. I thought it was so well done, and it was hilarious.
I love how our lists are just like top Styles moments on the show.
They're not all. Hey, I've given more non-Styles moments than you have. Thank you very much.
Of course you have.
All right, what's your number 6?
Number 6, another, I mean, it's kind of a Styles moment, but it's more of a Malia moment. Styles, she's having to be talking to Styles. But it's the like, I would never leave without you scene.
I knew the reason I didn't put that on my list is because I knew it was going to be on your list.
It is so, and even though I am Stydia all the way, like 100%, but that moment, like poor Styles had been through so much of pining after Lydia, it not happening, all of us viewers getting totally upset by the situation and ready to give up on it completely. And to see her, the way she cares about him, and the look on his face when he's just like, really? Was just so beautiful. Like you couldn't help but like them as a couple as well, because it was just, I don't know, she cared for him so much, like from the beginning. So, and that scene, it's also kind of fun to see Lydia in the background because I mean that's sort of foreshadowing that, I mean, here she's, you don't quite like, I mean at the time I was like, is she annoyed because she likes him, even though we still don't see that for a long time afterwards. But
yeah,
she is, she definitely is.
Because I mean, how can you spend time around Styles and not feel affection for him? Even if you don't understand what that affection is, even if it's platonic, there is affection there when you're around Styles. You see it with Derek and Styles. You see it with Scott and, well, Scott and Styles all been there, but Liam and Styles, Mason and Styles, everyone he pairs with, there's affection.
He's a fictional character on a TV show, and I still feel affection for him, so I get it.
All right, my number 5 is kind of a play off of that last one I had, and that is on the field trip where Scott is about to kill himself because he thinks everyone would be better off without him. That's on your list, isn't it?
It's my number 3 moment.
Yep. And Styles says, well, you're gonna have to take me with you, and steps into it too. Like, oh my goodness,
that scene was so emotional. I mean I cry every time I watch that scene because it's just good. So I mean hands, like, I mean I got to give like round of applause not just for Dylan in that scene, but Tyler too. I mean that is an emotionally charged scene that you feel like this is like for real getting ready to happen.
Tyler's the one I focus more on during that scene.
I mean, all of them, even because even you've got Chris, you've got Allison, I keep Crystal, Holland. I don't know. It doesn't either way. Okay, we got Crystal and Holland back there. Also, I mean, there's the emotion on their faces. I mean, Lydia even pushes them out of the way when it's getting ready to blow. So I mean, all 4 of them in that scene, just I love
kill it.
And on top of that, episode is one of my favorites.
As I was gonna say, on top of that, you go to Isaac and his fear. Oh my gosh, Daniel Sherman does just.
He is just. I love him.
Every time they bring it back to his past, I want to weep.
Absolutely.
Just sad.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes, I think. I love it.
So you're gonna have to use an honorable mention for your number 3 next. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is when Styles burst through those doors to save Lydia from House. I mean,
I thought you were just gonna no, that's it. That's my number 5.
I mean, I don't know how else to explain. I mean, it's just the well, not. I mean that, and then afterwards, where she's not breathing, they've taken her to the thing, and he's just like, come on, Lydia, like, and just when she opens her eyes and the relief that sets in on his face,
Mhm.
and then she even tells her mom, "Styles saved me." I mean, it's just those two.
That is the maddest. That sentence was not going to make any sense the way that was coming out of my mouth. That made me the maddest about Styles not coming back on. I don't know if that sentence makes sense.
Well,
I was more mad about
Yeah,
Styles
great.
not coming on to the Teen Wolf movie because we wouldn't get a Lydia Styles happily ever after.
If they are not together,
He's not in the show or the movie.
well, they can still be together. He can be off on an FBI mission.
I don't know if that will satisfy me.
Well, that's going to have to, I think. All I'm saying is if they are not still madly in love, I might have to write Jeff Davis a letter. Like, I am not going to be happy.
He's going to receive a very strongly worded letter.
I think he's going to receive very strongly worded letters from lots of people. We waited too long.
Very strongly worded bricks.
We waited way too long to never get that. And if you crush it, I mean, I will be livid. I think I would be that's just like, I don't know, like a real life relationship for me. Like you can't take that from me.
I agree.
No.
All right, well, since you used my number 4, which was the Upside Down and Peter.
Okay.
I can't call anything else now.
Sorry.
In my head.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna go to an honorable mention, and that is Isaac and Derek Carr. So tell me about your sister.
The look on Derek's face is just like, no.
And then he's like, all right, wrong time, maybe later. And then again. Yeah. Tyler does something with his eyebrows that is so defining about the character of Derek Hale.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Yes.
I don't think I would like Derek as much as if he didn't have the eyebrow feature thing that he does.
And what's so funny is to watch Tyler not be Derek Hale. I don't know if you've ever seen him in anything else, but I watched him first in that improv thing that I found like this improv situation, like, I don't know, it was on YouTube. It's him and some other girl. And it's big, long, like they're on a date or something. And it's complete improv. It's got some explicit language and stuff. I'm not sure if you'd enjoy it or not, but it was really funny because he is so not Derek that I was like, I love this. Like, this is like, it was wild to see him be flirty and fun and just like all of this. It was fun. And then I watched a movie. Can't even think of what
Hallmark
it's
movie.
No,
it's not Hallmark, but it's on Netflix.
Yeah, maybe he meets some girl like on a plane or whatever.
Yep.
He's really cute in that too. Like, it's wild to see him not, because until then I had only seen him as Derek. That's all he was to me, was Derek Hale. So it's kind of fun to see him not be so serious Derek.
Well, I like how you interact. I like how they have Isaac to lighten him up like that.
No, I agree. I mean, it's fun. So,
all right. So your number 3 was used by me, or your number 4? What was your number 4?
No, my number 4. That's another Stydia moment. Okay, that's all you got basically from here on out. Okay. And this one is the "Remember I Love You" scene in the car when the Ghost Riders are coming to get him.
That's my number 2.
I was so stressed, and just him saying that to her finally, here. I mean, we've known he's loved her for like ever, since the 3rd grade, right? But to hear him say it, and then her to say, like, "I'm not leaving you," when he's trying to push her away, like, to get out of there, and he says, "I won't forget you." I mean, just all of that. And then knowing what we know after that, that she doesn't fully forget him and that she is the reason they find him again. It's just warms my little Stydia heart. I love it.
That, and the moment she realizes in that car and remembers that scene in total. Yeah. And then she just doesn't. That's one thing I do like about them, is that they never really have both of them at the same time or in the same place, or even really, I don't think Lydia ever fully explicitly says it to him, does she, that she loves him? But the fact that they display it, I think was really beautifully done, especially with that whole series of episodes. Yeah, where she refused, absolutely refused, especially when she remembered that entire scene in the car where he said, "Remember, I love you," and then she said, "I remember." And she like whispered it. Like it was just like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I just
Yeah.
that whole season I love. Just
That
I
was
mean,
my
I
number
know
two.
it's he's gone, but it's their love story, and so
Hmm.
it's one of my favorites.
And Holland really did it justice too.
She did. She did.
She nailed that.
Yeah,
All
agreed.
right. So my number three is it's a Derek and Styles moment because I
Okay.
think those two are hilarious together. I really like
Hilarious.
them together. Like this is not on my list, but when they both get hit by the by the oh my gosh, what was Jackson?
Oh, the can yeah, the
Panama. Yeah.
Canada. Yeah, when
And
they're
they
in the
were
pool.
numb and they're no, it was before that, but it was when they were
Oh,
both numb and they were on the floor.
yeah.
First Styles lands on top of him, and then he's just the communication action. So I just love them together. But this is when starting when Derek and Styles are in Derek Styles' Jeep.
Mm.
It's after he gets shot with that
Yeah.
what was it that he got shot with that he can't heal from? It was yellow
Wolf
something, wasn't it?
Wolfsbane.
Is that
Was
all
it
it was? I thought it was yellow. I just remember the color. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
But he got
Wolfsbane.
shot with it, and he keeps telling Styles what to do, and Styles says something along the lines of, I don't think that you really have the prerogative to bark out orders right now when you're this sick. And Derek's only response is, take me there now, or I'll rip your throat off with my teeth. And then they go, and he's trying to convince Styles to cut off his arm. And then
Yep.
Styles is the one who passed out when Scott tried to get a tattoo. And now
Mhm.
here this morning, he's having to
Yeah.
cut off Derek's arm.
I know. It's hilarious. Hilarious. No, they're definitely funny in every scene they have together, for sure.
I just love that whole episode with those two in it.
Mhm.
I
It's a
just
good
laughed
one.
every time they were on screen, every single time.
Yeah.
Styles tried to convince him, you don't really need to get this cut off. It's gonna be okay if it just goes there, right?
Yep. Yep. It's funny. No, it's a good one for sure.
All right, what's your number three?
Well, it was the motel moment, so I'll use an honorable mention. I'll do is one I just thought of a minute ago. And it's Allison and Isaac when they're studying together or whatever, and they kind of have like their first kiss. First of all, super steamy scene, and I love it. I'm like,
The
okay,
one in
you
her
can feel the
room.
sexual tension, yeah. And
That's
then
my favorite part about that scene.
her dad comes in,
That's my favorite part about that scene.
and the look on both of their faces is like, oh my god. And he's like, Allison, can I see you? Takes her, and you hear him
But
go,
no,
another werewolf.
what he says is, Allison, can I see you in my office where I keep my
My
guns?
guns, yes. But then as he leaves, you hear him say, another
Another
werewolf,
werewolf?
really? I like that a lot. It's funny.
I love any scene with Chris in it. I just,
Mhm.
He's one of my favorites. I love him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like his character arc.
Yeah.
I mean, you go from who he was at first, and even he started to change right before his crazy pants wife killed herself,
Yeah.
and he continues to just grow. I love that.
Mhm.
So, in light of that, my number two was the Liz and Styles moment that we just talked about a few minutes ago.
Mhm.
I'm going to do an honorable mention. That's when Isaac followed Chris home after Allison died.
Oh yeah.
And Chris was saying, you don't need to be here for me. I'm really good at compartmentalizing. I can forget what I need to feel. And Isaac just looked at him and said, I can't.
Oh.
And then Chris just hugs him.
Yeah.
And that scene was like, it tore at my heartstrings so much. And it made me so emotional.
Yeah.
And then you see Argent when
Mhm.
after he's comforting Isaac, you see the look on his face completely alter and change to a mixture of rage and complete sadness.
Yeah.
And you just knew that something powerful was about to happen.
Yeah. No, I like that too. One of my biggest complaints about Allison's death is that I feel like we didn't give enough focus to Isaac and his feelings.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, obviously Scott gets to have feelings too. That was his first love, and they still had,
Mhm.
connection. But Isaac and her were building a connection, and I
Yeah.
think that it should have been talked about more and how
Mhm.
that made him feel.
And they did have a connection even without the romantic stuff. They had a connection before it went romantic.
Yeah, I mean, they just had. I mean, they had so much chemistry. Just as like, I mean, it was just a vibe. It was just they connected, and you could see it way before. And I mean, maybe it was sexual tension, maybe it was whatever. I don't know, but I think it was more than that too. I think she saw a side of him that others didn't
I agree.
before they saw it. So, yeah.
I agree with that. All right, so what's your number two?
All right. So my number two is really my one and two. I had a hard time deciding which one I liked the best.
I can't wait
But
to hear this.
Okay. They're kind of the same
genuinely
thing.
have no idea.
Okay. So I'm still debating in my head, if I'm being honest with you.
I know
Okay,
Styles is in them.
it is. Okay, so Stydia Kiss number 2, I think. The one after the Ghost Riders. And that one, I mean, there's a lot of, just her fight to getting back, like his fight to get back to her. All that whole half of that season is just I mean, that's all it is. It's about Styles and Lydia finding their way back to each other, basically. And I love how, I didn't say it back, you didn't have to, and then that wonderful kiss. It was like the moment we had all been waiting for.
I loved it.
I loved it. So that's my number 2, which, you'll hear my number 1 in a minute. It was almost that one, but it's just a powerful scene. And I mean, I think it's the relief that where we had all just waited for so long too that makes it so great that we're just like, oh, thank God.
And the parallel to that, where when he was, I want to say upside down again, but when he was in that other place again, and his back is up against the wall, and Lydia's in his house,
I love
and her back is against the wall. Just that parallel that they're so close to each other, that they can always find each other, but they're so far apart. To have them come together for that kiss and that moment was so gratifying. It was unreal.
Yeah. Maureen, what's your number 1? Let's hear it.
Okay, so I also love Noah Stalinski.
Yes.
I think he's hilarious, and him and Styles together are great. My number 1, it's a really emotional scene when Styles is having that nightmare and he wakes up screaming, and Noah comes in, he's just holding him on the bed. And he can't calm him down, and he can't comfort him. And Styles is freaking out, screaming and crying, and just gripping his dad, and the look of terror on Noah's face that his son is going through this, and he is powerless, completely powerless to stop it.
Yeah.
And he just holds him.
Yeah. No, that's a great one.
I know.
I can hear that one too. I mean,
his screams were just unreal.
Yeah, I mean, you just feel for him, and like, how terrified are you that, like, I mean, this is Dylan. I mean, again, I know I keep saying it, but like, I don't think anyone else on the show could have pulled off those powerful of scenes. I mean, not to say they're not all great, but he has a way of making you feel emotion that no one else on that show can do.
But I mean, it's just as much about the give and take of both of them, though.
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, definitely Lyndon too. I mean, they work so well together as a father and son. I mean, it feels legit. It feels like that is his dad.
Yeah.
For sure.
Agreed. All right, so what's your number 1?
Stydia Kiss number 1 during the
when he was having the panic attack.
Yeah. And I was like, which one do I like better? And I think that one I like better because, as Lydia said, that was the moment that it all changed for her. So I think that even though it took us a while to get to the point of them actually being together, that one held more meaning, in that she may not have realized it, but she knew that that moment was when she had feelings for him.
Yeah.
So, and that's one that, like, it's so emotionally charged, but it's also kind of funny because, like, when they pull back, the look on his face is just sheer confusion. Like, why would you do that?
Hers too.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't, because she's saying, oh, I read this somewhere. But obviously, as we find out later on, there was more to it than that. And I think she's just really confused as, why did I just do that?
Yeah. But I think she's also confused by what that kiss did to her.
Yes. Yes.
Because I think there was an instant connection when they did that. And Lydia had no idea what to do with that information.
Yeah. There's a song that they play in the background of that kiss. And every time if I hear that song, because a lot of times TikTok, uses sounds or whatever. If I hear that song, I think about Stydia. Like, I picture that scene. This scene is like burned in my brain. I remember when I first watched this show, I didn't know much about it at all. Like, I didn't know anything. I'd heard friends say, watch Teen Wolf, watch Teen Wolf. And I was like, all right, cool. So it was one of those, I didn't have anything to do. So I started the show. And I instantly fell in love with those two. Instantly.
Almost right away.
And I kept thinking, and then what do you do when you become obsessed with something? I know what I do. I go to YouTube and I YouTube everything I can about the show, even if it gives me spoilers. So I remember seeing this kiss and I was like, yes, all right, cool. I can't wait for this. Then I see it on the show and I think, all right, here it is. This is the moment. They're together now. And they
Nope.
were. And I remember being like, wait, like, so wait, we're still not together? Like, I thought for sure this was going to be the moment, but no. No.
I was in love with those two together from the Scarlet Nerded comment.
Yes. I mean, I could have given you a list of Stydia moments as my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I could have made a top 20 if I'm being honest with you.
The one when she found the dead body and she called 911 first, and Styles was like, "You called 911 before me?"
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's dig into some honorable mentions.
Okay. I don't have.
All right, I've got to go through the ones I already said. Ooh, this one was really a really awesome scene. It's when Isaac is beating up on Ethan after I think it was Allison who told Isaac that Isaac was coming at Scott.
Mhm.
And then Isaac lost it on Ethan, and everyone's trying to get him to stop. And then Scott just screams Isaac.
Yeah.
And he responds instantly to that alpha sound in his voice.
Uh-huh.
And every coach is so confused on what just happened.
Yeah.
But everyone around them can see that there was something powerful in Scott's voice that Isaac instantly responded to. And I just thought that was such a cool scene that that's the only thing that could make it stop was Scott's scream of his name.
Well, it's funny because my first honorable mention is something very similar to that. And it's like the first time he does his alpha howl when they're all in the woods, they're trying to find Malia and there's all those traps.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Isaac is stuck in the trap or whatever it is. And, you know, I think Scott has found Malia and he's trying to calm her down and he finally digs deep and is able to do that full howl.
Mm-hmm.
And you see instantly Malia kind of like is like okay with him, and then you see it gives from far away, it gives Isaac the strength to break that like bear trap or what a coyote trap, whatever it was that was out there. And I mean, just it was just a really cool moment. I think even Styles says that's what I'm talking about because they hear it too. And I mean, it's just such a cool moment.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Forgot about that moment.
I thought about it as we were talking. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna write that down.
All right, another honorable mention I have is when Scott and Styles returned from Mexico with the young Derek, and they're talking to Styles' dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where did she find him? Swimming in the fountain of youth.
Yeah.
You said you were going on a camping trip. We did, just in Mexico. That whole scene, I just really, really genuinely love watching Lyndon and Dylan together.
Yeah.
I really every time they're on screen, like I'm just like, okay, good. It's like candy. I can't wait to see what they come up with because they're always so funny. Mm-hmm. Another one is when Styles was teaching Noah about the supernatural, specifically when they're at the school, and he's like, no, he's over here. Well, how do you know? Lydia, she's got a supernatural feeling. She wasn't on the list. Yeah, she wasn't on the board. He said, yeah. And he's like, well, she is now. And then he's like, what, Chimera? No, Banshee. It felt so hilarious.
Then he says, if you say, oh no, it's during that one where he's talking about the time travel, going back to that other thing you just mentioned when he's like, if you tell me time travel's real, he was just like,
I'm out.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, speaking of Styles and Noah, like one of the other scenes that I had on there, which is a more emotional scene, is when again when Styles has been taken by the Ghost Riders and Lydia's come and she's told him, you know, like it's here or whatever, and he goes back in that room and he slowly starts remembering and stuff just starts appearing. It gives me goosebumps on that scene. Yep. I love it so much.
Me too.
Yeah.
That one, I was thinking about that one as we were talking, but it wasn't already on my list. So I was like,
I'm making these up as I go in my head now as we're talking.
Well, my other one was the final scene with the bat.
Mm-hmm.
When he gives Mason the bat, but that reminded me of another scene where Mason and Lydia are stuck in the basement with that. I don't remember what it was, but he had like this warrior gear thing, and it was this crazy villain demon thing that was coming at Mason and Lydia, and Lydia finds a baseball bat. Yeah. Mason's like, "You're gonna go on that thing with a baseball bat?" She's like, "Yes." And you know that she got that from Styles, that idea to go at something with a baseball bat. It came from Styles. Yeah. And then Styles holding up that house with the baseball bat when Isaac was about to drop it. Shoves it under there. So just the bat itself is an honorable mention for me.
I would agree.
How many different ways it appears.
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely.
One of my honorable mentions just says first episode. There's a lot in there.
There's so much in that. Yeah.
When he appears upside down on the porch. Yep. When they're out in the woods.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just following his dad searching for a dead body. Like there's just so many things in that first
Well,
episode.
even when Noah finds him and Styles goes out and he's like, "Where's Scott?" And he's like, "Scott," no, he's not here. He's like, "Scott, come on out." Like he already knew that he was back there too.
Didn't he say, "You're listening into my phone calls now"?
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one was when they were in the school, like they usually are. That's not really narrowing down anything.
Mhm.
But I couldn't remember the exact scene, but it's Kira, and she's in the basement trying to either shut off the electricity or short circuit the electricity. She's doing one of them.
Mhm.
Remind me how the scene plays out, but she saves the day by getting like right in it with the electricity, doesn't she? That's how I
Yes.
remember it.
Yes, but for some reason I'm blanking on exactly what happens there.
Like
So
I almost felt like she stepped in, and there is no water, but it almost felt like stepping in a puddle of water with there's like live wires is what it felt like.
yeah,
Or maybe I'm thinking of the moment when they're with the cages at the electric plant or something like that.
I know I'm getting confused.
But either way, every time that Kira utilizes her powers,
Hmm.
I just think it's such a cool power. It's a different sort of power, and it's something that you don't expect.
I agree. I mean, and that's why Kira stays at the top of my list as character wise. I mean, she was different than the others, but still similar enough that, it worked with the
Yeah,
group, but I liked her so much.
I do too.
And not just with her powers. I mean, I just liked Kira in general. Like I liked her
Hmm.
whole personality.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last one I have is Liam and Styles and Derek when they tape Liam to the tree, and Styles and Scott are sitting in front of the Jeep, and Styles says, or Scott says, "Do you think it's been long enough?" And Liam goes, "Yes." And Styles
Mhm.
shouts out, "Adults trying to have a conversation over here." And Liam's just chained to a tree.
Poor Liam. I can't, he is one of the characters in the movie that I can't wait to see because he's going to be grown up and he's going to be like, I mean, he's got a full beard now. You know what I mean? Like, I
Oh,
can't
so
wait to see
weird.
like Liam as a grown up because I think just like everyone else in the show, like I view him as a child basically.
Mhm.
Like, so it'll be fun, I think.
I was sort of hoping that the show would kind of pick off and the Mason Liam storyline where, because it kind of felt like the passing of the bat was the
Yeah.
passing of the torch.
Yeah. I think
And
that would have been good.
we didn't get that. So I hope we do, because obviously Mason's in this one. He's a
Mhm.
sheriff in this,
He's
or
a sheriff.
deputy.
Yeah. Yeah. He works for the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't.
So I hope we do at least get to see some of that in the movie coming up, because I thought that was a really fun aspect.
I agree.
And
I agree.
I really like Mason and Liam's characters. I really
I
think
do
that they were
too.
an asset to the show.
No, I agree with that.
All right, so those are all my honorable mentions. Did you have any?
The only other thing I want to mention, it's like not again, it's not just one scene, but just maybe one-liners by Malia are
Okay.
always my favorite.
Oh, yes.
Like,
Yes.
when Noah asks her what's her favorite food for deer, and Styles tells her pizza. She likes pizza. And then what with the chains when he walks in on them and they've got their chains and he just kind of walks back out like I do not know what's happening here. She was just so it's still in that scene where the sweet scene that I mentioned,
Mhm.
I would never leave without you. And she turns to Kira and Lydia and it's like them, I would leave. Her honesty just always made me
Mhm.
laugh so much because she
Mhm.
couldn't help it. She didn't know. She didn't understand social cues. She'd been a
Oh,
county her whole life, basically. But Malia's one-liners, I think, were
mhm.
always favorites of mine.
At Lydia's what is it, boathouse cabin, her
Oh
grandmother's
yeah.
place, and Malia's down in the basement begging Styles to go.
Hmm.
And Styles like, I'm not gonna leave you. And it was Styles who was able to
Yeah.
calm her down because of the connect.
Hmm.
Again, Styles just
She's.
he may not have a supernatural gifting,
Hmm.
but Styles has a gifting.
Well, I mean, if she says later on to Peter when he's like, "Why do you need him?" She's like, "I need him. He's my anchor." Like
Hmm.
he was that for her. I think he was that for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
Speaking of anchors, it was really sad when Derek turned Isaac and he was
Hmm.
teaching them how to be werewolf, and he said, "Find your anchor." And he looked at Isaac and said, "I guess you found it." And he said, "Yeah, it's my dad." Oh
And that was a rough storyline altogether.
man. And I just watched that scene the other day when he's asking about the grades and thinking, "Oh, this is normal. Normal. Why is he acting like this? It's weird that Isaac is acting like this." And then I was like irate.
Hmm.
I mean, he was so scared riding away on his bike because, first of all, Daniel Sharman doesn't look like he's that age, like, at
Right.
all. He never looked like he was that age.
No.
But then watching him, this person who looks like an adult, who acts like an adult, ride away on a bicycle was almost that much more sad.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Yeah.
That was the one person I was excited that Jackson destroyed.
Oh, absolutely.
Pretty excited about that.
Yeah. I didn't miss him one bit.
No. All right, so those are as many scenes as we felt we could give you in an hour. There's more good scenes about this show. And where can you watch Teen Wolf right now? Is it still just on Hulu?
It's on Hulu, yeah.
Okay, because I think that's where I caught up on all 6 seasons on Hulu. And it doesn't take that long to watch it. So if you have not finished it, if you have not seen it all, go back and watch it. It's worth a watch, especially since the new movie's coming out in 2023, right?
No, it's coming out in a couple months, I think.
Shut up. I thought they weren't even done filming yet.
I know they are done. I swear I feel like I need to look this up so I don't lie to our listeners here. But I swear I heard October.
Holy cow.
Let me look.
They pushed that so hard and fast.
Initial release is going to be in October 2022 on Paramount Plus.
Soon, very soon, in just a couple of months. So Maureen was proven wrong on that.
Oh, mark your calendars.
It'll never happen again. So get ready for that. In leading up to the movie, get yourself prepared and jump back into the series and watch it all over again, or watch it for the first time. Just get into it. It's just such a good show. Don't be put off by the first season werewolves. Continue to push on because they do get better. They don't always look as they did in season 1. So just give it a moment and you'll get into it. I promise. It'll be a really good show. Tune into our Facebook group, which is Teen Wolf McCall Family Fan Club on Facebook. Interact with us there. We want to get that page a little more interactive. We want to interact with you, hear what you think. And on there, tell us what you think about our top 10s. Did we leave something out? Because I feel like we didn't say anything about Allison. We didn't say anything about Kira. Like I mentioned Kira, but
I got a one-track mind when I'm sorry.
Tell us your favorite scenes. I'm sure they differ from ours. So we want to hear what your top 10 are. We want to hear what you think about our top 10. Let us know. Let's get that conversation. And next week you will see something else from us. Next week, what you will see, get prepared for this. We are bringing up Gilmore's debates. We are talking Jess. Just one solid Jess episode on why he was the better boyfriend. And then Logan, we both say face. And the next one is Logan on why he's the better boyfriend. And we would love to have you join the conversation. So we'll see you real soon. Bye, guys.
Bye. Loving our content? Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to share our podcast with your family and friends. We want to continue the conversation with you. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok under Fandom Family Chats, or one of our ever-growing Facebook groups by searching Family Fan Club. We've also launched a website, Family Fan Club 2021 at wixsite.com. You can email us there and keep checking it for announcements and merch coming soon. And of course, be sure to tune in every week for new episodes discussing all your favorite shows.